Hey guys, welcome back to another video. For this one, you might have seen my last one. It's twink leveling with the facebreaker coiling whisper tech, and that was branching into a build that I'm trying to push into Ubers. Facebreaker with volcanic fissure, not necessarily that skill, but it's facebreaker with this mercenary tech. Mercenary that has a really high base damage weapon and uses rallying cry, so he's giving us like 100 to 200 physical damage to attacks, which is insane for facebreakers. Then there's the rune graph that gives us 20% more damage for facebreakers as well. But yeah, I'll go into all that later on in more detail, but that's the centerpiece of this build. My thoughts on it so far: the damage is really good. Defenses I need to figure out. But yeah, this is just Breachstone gameplay here, and then right after this is playing the Maven. So it's not a lot of gameplay in this video. It's mostly just explaining things. But yeah, I'll explain everything later. For now, here's the gameplay. Check out the timestamps if you want to skip around at all. But yeah, thanks for hanging out.
Returned tenfold. Space aligns. Behold my connection.
I will have what I want. There will not be an escape. Scurry! Stand still.
Resistance will be punished. Time contorts. Scurry.
My irritation is growing. A cascade of pain. This will not be an escape. Scurry! Stand still. A cascade of pain. Do what I say. Stand still. Oh!
Stop resisting. Reality bends. Punishment inescapable.
I will get boy. Take this. It will not be an escape. Scurry!
Peace makes the whole come.
So I do want to go over the Mercenary because he is extremely important for this facebreaker build, and this tech is very, very powerful. It can be very powerful for a lot of different things. A lot of people are cooking builds with this tech. So if you don't know about it, this is I don't know if I should make a separate video for it. I think there's already some out there, but so you need a merc with rallying cry and a very high base damage. It has to be a sword or an axe. That's all this type of merc can equip. But yeah, Ulnatul's axe, both of them are relatively cheap and they have really high base damage. So grab one of those if you're using this merc probably. And then another important thing, Halcrack helmet. This thing's kind of annoying if he spams his war cry because he'll almost kill himself. But it's also important because this lets him spam his war cry and keeps our rallying cry buff on us, like almost 100% uptime. So yeah, those are the most important things about the build, mandatory for this rallying cry tech. Next important thing is Perkle's Toe. Has really good synergy with Rislatha's Coil and Volatility. And I think most builds that are going this tech are gonna be probably using Volatility and maybe Rislatha's Coil. But yeah, we roll, our damage is lucky, so I can't calculate the amount, but it's increasing our damage by quite a bit. Other notable things about my Mercenary, he's not really min-maxed. I have rare gloves on him right now. He's applying my curses. I like to do this with the Mercenaries. +1 curse with the boots. And both curses are in the rings. I'm going to switch out the curses and put them on gloves, hopefully. And then have better rings. And get like a Count's Binding in the belt slot. He does need a lot of regeneration. That's why I'm using this Immortal Flesh. Because he kills himself with this helmet. So watch out for that. Chestplate. This gives him some AoE and health. But I do want to figure out a different one for him. But yeah. You can get cooler. I don't know if you can get other auras besides Pride. I don't think so. Pride doesn't synergize with our Volcanic Fissure of Snaking, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm looking out for all the different things this merc can get. If you want to know everything a merc can get, I think PoE.db has all the stats, or maybe even the wiki has the stats, so go check that out if you want. Yeah, that's about all for the Mercenary. Very important and powerful tech here. It's the kind of the defining point of the build. Alright, so here's the PoB for the facebreaker build. Right now I'm using Snaking, Volcanic Fissure of Snaking. I do plan on trying out some other skills at a later point. That skill is just so crazy though. So busted. It's I can't even believe it's called melee. But yeah, so I'm using it and abusing it right now. The PoB has three specs right now. In the notes section, I have a brief sentence, I guess, about each spec. And I'll go over it quickly, or I'll try to. I'll spend most of the time on Spec 3, because that's where I spend most of my time. But, yeah, so here's Spec 1. It's the gear I started maps with. I'll start with the gear. If you've seen my last video about leveling a Twink into maps with the facebreaker and the coiling whisper tech, this is pretty much the same stuff. I have Bringer of Rain though, a helmet. This helmet's actually really good for a facebreaker early on. Can easily carry you into early red maps. I didn't have a problem with it. The body plate, your body plate doesn't work when you're wearing Bringer of Rain. I was just using Tabula to level up gems. You have to equip your body plate before your helmet though. If you get confused on that, let me know. But yeah, so just a bunch of leveling items pretty much. High life, some res on the boots. The movement speed doesn't matter because we're using lightning warp. Astra Manus for stats, Coiling Whisper for Soul Eater. Warden's Brand is really big. I talked about this before. This thing adds a ton of physical damage, and the reduced attack speed doesn't really hurt us because we're using Coiling Whisper. And then Stygian Vise, try and get as much effect as possible. These can get expensive though. And ideally you get added physical damage to attacks, but the most important things for me were life and resistances. There's not a lot of resistance on any of this gear, so I solved that through Grand Spectrums. If you can't afford Grand Spectrums, you'll swap out the shield for something with res. You'll get boots with less life and more resistance. You can switch out the Warden's Band for something with more resistances. Just stuff like that. Should be pretty easy to solve. But yeah, there's the items. The passive tree, there's nothing really special about it. If you have questions, let me know. Just like Warcries, the reduced skill duration from the leveling twink setup, resolute technique, nothing crazy on there. For skills, can actually ignore this slot completely. I was leveling those up. The chest plate. Every damage skill is socketed into your helmet. You don't need these awakened gems. I don't even know why these are here. Let me fix that. Alright, I fixed it. Put in normal gems. Blood and Sand. I just run it permanently on Blood Stance because Volcanic Fissure has crazy AoE. Your auto exert war cries. I use Infernal Cry sometimes. Don't really need it, honestly. The damage is really good, but maybe if I want to one-shot the boss. The most important things are just helmet, your main slot, skills in your helmet, because Bringer of Rain, and then this temporal chain setup for Soul Eater. Very important. I've gone over this many times though. If you have a question about it, leave a comment. There's another video on it. But yeah, there's Spec 1. Spec 2, quickly. Skill tree just has more points pretty much. Did I have Fortify? I did not have Fortify in Spec 1, so Fortify is a big one. You can even slot Fortify into the previous skills if you wanted it earlier, or just spec into this earlier. It's a lot of damage reduction. But yeah, Spec 2 is yellow-red maps. Item changes. Using Rislatha's Coil instead of the other belt. And my boots have a lot more res on them. And what I said before about resistances, if you can't afford these Grand Spectrums, they're like 30C I think, but if you can't afford them, just do similar things of what I was saying about Spec 1. The items didn't really change that much. Skill tree added some points. Skills, I cleaned up the skills a little bit. Can disable this one. You don't need the awakened gems, but I have them in there because I was using them. These ones are pretty cheap. Infernal Cry, Enduring Cry on left click. This one's kind of important. I think I have endurance charges on here. You want Enduring Cry on left click, so you're always casting it when it's off cooldown. And Urgent Orders is really nice for it because it speeds up the weird pausing that happens when you cast it. But yeah, you don't have a lot of gem slots with this setup, so there's not a lot of skills to look at. But yeah, that's about all for Spec 2. Now Spec 3 is what I'm currently messing with. My I put on here 4 watchstones easy, uber DPS. In the video, there was the Maven kill and a breach. I didn't put a lot of content in there, but the damage is really good. Yeah, the damage is crazy good. This says 25 mil here, and I think that's real. Might even be better. Problem though is it does not feel very tanky. The max hits are like decent, but it just doesn't feel that good. So for Spec 4, I'm definitely looking into figuring out defenses. Got plenty of damage, way more than enough. But yeah, defenses I want to figure out. But yeah, so the main thing about this whole facebringer tech, we're using Soul Eater, so we get a ton of attack speed, and then we are using Rallying Cry on our Merc with a huge base damage weapon. And I'll show the Merc in the video. I think I'm going to put it before this, but this Merc is giving us 92 to 154 physical damage to attacks, which is scaled by facebreaker. Facebreaker scaling is actually higher than this. I'm using a rune graft, which gives it 20% more effect. So it's actually closer to 1,200. Yeah. That physical damage gets scaled like crazy. And the damage is really good on this build. So first thing I'll go over is skill tree. It's a little, we're really tight on stats. I'm not gonna go over the items right now, but I did have a hard time like solving stats. So I have this dex now right there. So notable differences. This banner, we're using this banner cluster. Gain 5 valor when you war cry is really nice, because whenever you start a boss, you have full valor, and it charges up like instantly pretty much with our auto exertion. So almost permanent banner uptime. You get frenzy charges from that as well. I have that clicked. This cluster right here is pretty big. This fire mastery thing, 100% damage with hits against ignited enemies. You can only use this if you have a chance to ignite. So I did this point until I got these ones, but that's a lot of damage right there. 20% damage from that wheel. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else super important to go over on the tree. This leech cluster might be weird to you, but because it's like physical damage, but we're doing full elemental. We're really only getting this for the max recovery, and it's quite a bit. If I unallocate this wheel, it's minus 50% leech. So it would go down to like 1,000. So this is really nice for the recovery. We don't have a lot of recovery outside of that. And then I guess over here is important. Damage taken recouped as mana. Helps a lot with mana problems. But yeah, that's about all for the passive tree. For the items, stuff is tight. I added a lot of rare items, you can see. It's going to be hard to find rings like this. This is a mirror jewelry. Really, you just want life, a lot of life and resistances, maybe some physical damage to attacks. I found a lot of physical damage to attacks and a lot of life and a good amount of resistance. So I'm using that. If you need help finding mirror jewelry, I do plan on making a video about that eventually, but you have to use like sums and stuff in the trade to find them efficiently. Yeah, so we need a lot of stats and a lot of res on the gear. Our chaos res is 54. It's max with the amethyst flask, which has pretty high uptime. But yeah, we're getting a lot of chaos res. We got physical damage reduction on the chest plate and the shield. A lot of life on all the rare pieces, like a ton of life. We're using Echoes of Creation now. This thing will chunk you pretty hard, especially if you have a high roll and take 16% of life as physical damage. So I would actually go for a lower roll on the more damage and a lower roll on the take damage part if you can't afford one of these ones, because they do get expensive. But yeah, so that's we have another important part is we're using Storm Shroud and Avoid Ailment boots. To craft these, I can give a more detailed overview, but you pretty much just use an essence with a single fractured mod and you spam it a few times, and then you use Eldritch Currency to get the implicits. It's really simple. I made this for under a div. But yeah, ailment immune through those two. Storm Shroud is pretty cheap right now. It's a divine. Oh, and we have Light of Meaning. You don't need this. Really don't need it. It's only a 13% damage increase, and it's 3 divines. I added it early on. I'll probably swap it out, but yeah, there's the items. If you have questions, let me know in the comments. Now for skills are very tight as always. Arctic Armor is not really showing anything right now, but I'll put stationary on there so it works. So yeah, we added Arctic Armor, where most of our auras are just auto exertion. We're really out of gem slots. We don't have a weapon, so we're missing 3, and these melee builds require so many gem slots, so we're real tight. We need 4 of them for our soul eating setup. So volcanic fissure with volatility. I showed my Merc earlier. I'm gonna assume I'm putting it before this. We're using volatility, which synergizes really well with Perkle's Toe. Merc is wearing that. Perkle's Toe and Rislothas. So yeah, OP combo there. The damage is a lot higher than it shows here. And about the War Cries, I don't really cast Battle Mage's Cry ever. But it does add a chunk of damage if you want more. I don't feel like I need damage. I just need tankiness. But I have it in there because if it's like the next best thing you can use if you're going to have another gem. No, but yeah, make sure Enduring Cries on left click. Once again, I said that in Spec 2. Yeah, that's about all there. So yeah, the Merc is extremely important for this build. If your Mercenary dies, your damage goes down by like I want to say 80%, but you can still like map or whatever, but it's rough. So I'm still figuring out like fine tuning the build and all this other stuff. This will get you 4 Watchstones pretty easily. Beyond that, it's going to be annoying because the defenses aren't that great. But yeah, build feels good. I want to try out different skills. I'm going to try and push Volcanic Fissure though to the Uber level first and figure out the defenses before I try out other skills. Yeah, the tech with the Merc is the highlight of the build. So if you didn't know about it, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this Rallying Cry high base damage thing. There's a lot of weapons that synergize with that. So if you want to know about them, let me know. I can leave a comment, but I won't go over that right now. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching. As always, if any of my guides or anything helps you out, please leave a like and a subscribe. Really appreciate that. But yeah, thanks again, and we'll see you next time.